Welcome to the Alternative Healers Coffee Chat.
We are Victoria and
Janel Mulligan.
And I help those going through spiritual awakening release traumas, fears, and doubts.
And I am a Reiki neurolinguistic programmer and quantum healing practitioner.
And the purpose of this podcast is to introduce and reacquaint listeners to different healing modalities of all soul so that you may feel more in tune with yourself and empower you with your healing journey. Today, we have the beautiful pleasure of having Luis here, Luis Colon, a healer currently living in Sedona, Arizona. Luis is a sound healer. He has shamanic background, works closely with sananga and the beautiful energy of the cacao medicine. And he also created his own technique, drum Reiki, I think is what you're calling it. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It's quite an honor to be on this podcast and be of service to all of our listeners today.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Where should we start? With your background, perhaps, so people can get a better idea, like your background, where you come from, parents, how do you come to the healing journey and become a healer?
Great question. So I was raised with a general spiritual background. And in my upbringing as a child, particularly when I was a teenager, you're not really attracted to any of those things. So I decided I wanted to be a music artist, and I chose to take that path, almost 10 years, writing and performing music, reggaeton, bachata, those kinds of genres. And I would, travel and perform on stages and in nightclubs. And, I thought that's what I wanted. But my mother actually introduced me to ayahuasca in 2017. And I had always seen it as a drug because my parents had always told me, alcohol and drugs, like, you don't need that stuff to be happy. So I was like, why are you telling me to, go on this ayahuasca journey? And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And it wasn't until maybe like a couple years later, after I started seeing other people that I also knew come back and tell their stories. And it was very interesting because all of the stories that would come back would be different. And I'm like, there's got to be something to this. And I just went out of curiosity. And now it's been, almost 30 ceremonies later, I'm still here, continuing on that journey with the medicine. And that's really what also got me out of being a music artist, and that transformed into sound healing. And that was an interesting period of time because I was identified a lot with that, being a music artist and being that person that would go on stage and do things. And when the medicine kind of told me that that wasn't necessarily my path, I was like, what is my path? And so on one of the journeys, I set that intention to see what my path was. And they were playing singing bowls in the ceremony. And the moment that I heard that, I just knew that was the next step.
That's amazing. So, it is sound, right? It's music still, but in a different way. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. It's beautiful. Technically it doesn't have a rhythm, so music needs to have a rhythm. But it's amazing. It's vibration. Everything is vibration. It's Yeah.
Hmm. So I wanted to know, because you were in Florida before, what made you move to Sedona?
Yes, great question. So I was in Florida since 2004, and I moved here about 5 months ago. I had come on a retreat here about 2 years ago or so, and it was very synchronistic because the retreat, I had done my morning practice. I do like a morning kundalini yoga practice, and I went to check my email, and there was this one spot left for this retreat. It happened to be in Sedona, and I was very much called to go on that retreat. I was like, this is it. Like, it was my practice that day was like extra special, and it just felt so good. So I went on that retreat. That was in August of 2020, and it was amazing. I mean, anybody that's been here to Sedona um, knows what the energy feels like here, and it's beautiful. And on the way back to Florida, I remember, like if it was yesterday, I was driving back home from the airport, and it was almost like I literally saw this download coming that says, Florida is not your home. And that was hard for me to hear because I had been there for so long. Um, and kind of like this energy of grief came upon me.
Oh, wow.
So I chose to go to the beach and just release and detach, and that was very healing at that moment. And the obvious question came: if Florida is not my home, where is my home? Um, so I had come back here actually a year after that on a different retreat, and it was beautiful, but it still wasn't like crystal clear, whether this was my place or where. Um, and it was maybe about a year or so ago, a little less than a year ago. Um, there were some things that were coming up for me in my life, and I was able to see um, that I didn't want to make that move because I wanted to have all of my ducks in a row, so to speak. What society tells you to, no, you can't just move without, having a plan or whatever. And I was like, wait, that's bullshit. Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go. And I took that leap of faith, and here I am.
Wow, so you're just going with the flow, like you're
Yeah.
free.
Yeah, and it was amazing. From the moment that I came here, um, the synchronicities and the alignments that have happened have been so special.
It's beautiful.
Fantastic. So now that you're there, how are you integrating your sound healing?
Yeah, so it's been a slow process in doing so. Um, it's a new community. It's very different energy than Florida. So that in of itself has been a lot of getting used to for me. Um, and from what I hear, also it's a very common thing, um, because I'm not sure if you know, but Sedona is a uh, vortex. So that's where ley lines of the earth kind of intersect, um, and it creates a specific type of energy, similar to that of ayahuasca. I like to compare it to, that it puts you at a very, very, very high vibration. And in doing so, a lot of shadow comes up to the surface to be healed. Um, so that's more or less what my process has been the last, well, I would say the first 3 months, primarily. So it's gotten a lot smoother. Uh, But yeah, I'm definitely starting to do more more sound healing, holding more space. About a month ago, I did a cacao ceremony, which was beautiful,
Mm.
and yeah, now I'm also co-leading a 40-day challenge with Kundalini Yoga, which is very, very, very amazing.
Wow. Yeah, the medicine of the cacao is definitely very sacred. So, did you put that together yourself, or are you working with anybody else out there?
So that one in particular that I mentioned, I did do it myself. Um, I'm still looking for, you know, the right matches and people to collaborate with in that sense. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing cacao ceremonies?
So cacao ceremonies, it's been about 3 years now that I've been working with that medicine and holding space for it. Um, it's it was the medicine that really marked like a before and after in my awakening journey. Because before then, I was very much felt very much alone in my journey. Um, I had done a lot of work with Mother Ayahuasca and went through a lot of transformation, and I felt very disconnected from a lot of people around me. Um, and I told Spirit, you know, I feel like I've worked so much with my shadow and the medicine, you know, I deserve to meet and find my soul family. And I literally set that intention. And the next day, I went to a cacao ceremony, my first cacao ceremony. And I just started meeting so much soul tribe. And it was just so beautiful how that came to be. And that's also my intention when holding space for others, for them to, you know, see that we're not all so different, that we also have many common themes, many common issues, and that we're in this together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned the shadows a few times. Do you want to share more about that?
Yeah, it is really, in my opinion, it is the essence of uh, awakening, the awakening journey. Our shadows are the things that weigh us down, the things that don't allow us to come to our highest potential, don't allow us to, um, they don't allow us to achieve our goals, to, yeah, to be our full potential, basically. So once we start to observe those things that um, no longer serve us, behaviors, people, situations, environments, our lives become so much, we become so much lighter, and our lives just start clearing up, and we become a lot more fulfilled and happy.
Mhm. Do you I'm wondering, like, when you, because it's, I think a lot of people have the ayahuasca and the major plant medicines that we use in the Amazon and so on, but a lot of people don't really know about how special and sacred and magical cacao can be. Can you give us a rundown of like what happens in some of your ceremonies?
Mm, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful medicine. Um, to compare it to ayahuasca in a little bit, ayahuasca brings up that shadow, which cacao can also do that, but it's a lot more gentle. It's not psychedelic. It doesn't particularly give you visions, although it's possible. Um, and what it does is it opens up our heart chakra. It opens up our hearts, and it allows us to connect in community, because our heart produces a magnetic field that's very, very strong, a lot more potent than like the mind, where it's more electric. So when a group of people come together and create this magnetic field, it creates a not only a sense of community, but also um, a very unique environment where we can all be seen and heard, and where everything is valid and accepted, and there's no, it takes away all of the judgment. It really clears up the heart space, and it allows us to see that we have a lot more things in common than we have different.
That's amazing. And how often do you recommend, if somebody were to try to find these ceremonies and be involved, what does that kind of look like? Is it a routine? Is it a one-off thing that somebody would do? What's the recommendation there?
So it can be either or. It can be something you go to once in a while when you feel called to. And it can also be a regimen where you take a smaller dose of cacao each day and use that intentionally um, every day to open up your heart space.
Awesome. I was not aware that could be used that way. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, being in the group ceremonies, because when I do the ceremonies and being in that group, like Louis said, the energy of the entire collective in the group amplifies the energy to the point where we are just like vibing so high. It's amazing. So I definitely recommend those. Find a place where you can go at least once a month, because it's definitely worth it. Something that you don't get at home, like by yourself, it's a different experience.
Yes, that is very true. When doing it in a group setting, it creates that very unique and special magnetic field, and it not only opens up your heart as well, it opens up your chakras that are next to it, like your throat, your solar plexus, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness.
That's awesome. And so now that you're getting established in Sedona, what would your kind of dream healing practice business look like for you right now?
Yes, so right now I set an intention this year to start doing healing retreats along with a special group, and that is going to be with involve cacao ceremonies, sound healing, and various other lectures and modalities from unique healers.
Perfect. And so Victoria mentioned you have kind of come up with a drum Reiki practice. Can you tell us more about that? What's that like?
Yes, so I'm not sure if I'm the one who invented it, but I don't know. That's just what I like to call it, drum Reiki. I did my level 2 Reiki certification about a year, 2 years ago or so, and it was very. I kind of already knew how to work with the energies, but it was more like learning the language and specific techniques and things of that nature. Um, but I felt like there's more that I could do. There's more that my essence, that my soul could provide in a service, in a facilitation of Reiki to someone else. And I decided to take the drum, the instrument of the shamanic drum, and use the Reiki energy through my hands to the drum, to the person, to the individual, to facilitate a Reiki session. So it's like I'm combining the energy of the Reiki through my hands with the vibration of the drum to facilitate that energy and go deeper into the tissues and into the body.
That makes sense. And especially if with the shamanic drumming, you're getting them into a theta state and getting them into that meditative state, that's going to definitely help facilitate various levels of healing, not only for the physical body, but for the spiritual and energetic body as well. So I can see how that could be amazing for someone.
So what does that look like? Are people going into trance, or are you channeling the energy to send the energy to them? Help me understand more about that.
Yeah, so I'm acting as a channel for any energy to come through, and that usually composes about the first half of the session, and then towards the second half, I will use my hands to smooth any energy that needs to be kind of reorganized, and yeah, just kind of seal everything that took place. And they're very, very impactful sessions.
Oh, can you imagine? Are you familiar with los palos dominicanos?
Not particularly.
You need to look into that, because that's basically when they're beating the drums, which is an ancestral magical religious practice. They are invoking energy, and when they're invoking energy, the people that are in the group, they go into trance, and it becomes a very healing ceremony space where people are dancing, moving, and really feeling the energy flowing through, and it's just amazing.
Wow, look at that. I guess it was in my bloodline and I just channeled it through.
Yeah. That's right. What about sananga? Tell us more about sananga for those that are listening, to get an idea of what sananga is, how it can help them, and how do you hold those sananga ceremonies?
Sananga is a very, very special and unique medicine. It is eye drops that we place into our eyes for healing, not only physical healing of the eyes, but also to increase our intuition, clear up our third eye. And traditionally, sananga is a medicine that was used by tribes to hunt at nighttime. So it significantly improves your vision at night. And it's also, through many people that I've worked with, it helps to improve their vision during the daytime as well. So it's not particularly a pleasant experience.
It's like hot sauce on the eyes.
Yeah, it does burn the eyes a little bit, but the good thing is that it's only for a couple minutes. So the more that you need to heal your eyes, or if you're very calcified, like pineal gland, then it may burn a little bit more or a little bit longer. But the more you work with it, it gets better. It gets better.
Yeah, I have seen people that for 24, 48 hours later, their eyes are still very red, and they start panicking, and they don't understand that it's an energetic clearing of the eye. So, when with the panic and the stress, so they make it worse. It takes longer.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah, something I like to just tell people right off the bat, like, I'm going to put these drops in your eyes, but, be aware you can't run. It's not going to do anything. Just breathe is really the best thing that you can do, and sit with it. And you'll be surprised what can come up.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can you share probably one of the more beautiful or memorable sessions or ceremonies you've had with that?
Mm, yeah, there was this older gentleman that I gave the drops to, and he had some issues with his eyes, um, and he told me that it was very very uncomfortable for him. Obviously, it was his first time as well, um, but after he was able to push through that discomfort, I remember speaking to him a while after, and after just that one time, he told me that his vision had improved, which is something you usually see progressively, with continuous use. But it can also, apparently do that too with just one time.
Yeah,
It's
medicine is
fantastic.
special. I'm wondering if you're up to sharing a crazy experience with any of the plant medicine that you have done for your own journeys, like anything that I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting one that, and I wasn't even there, but I'm getting some type of vision of you doing something crazy. And I'm like, why is this coming up?
There have been quite a few. I'll admit. Um, I mean, starting with the very first one that I sat in, I had a very strong, significant fear of death. And in that very first ceremony, I faced death 3 times, um, in different ways.
How
uh,
was that for you?
that was incredibly intense because I had no knowledge of, what the possibilities that the medicine has. Um, I was very new to all of this, um, and also just kind of seeing everything that I had read in books or I was told, um, about the astral realm and all of these things, kind of just see it manifest right before me, was quite the spectacle. It was a lot to take in, at first, but yeah, over time, I learned more and learned more, and um, even then, when you no matter how many times you sit with it, it can still come, um, with some very strong lessons and be very very impactful. Even like a few months ago, I was in a ceremony, and it's probably one of the strongest ones. Despite everything I've learned in the past. So with the medicine, you really never know what you're gonna get, but it's always what you need.
Right, right. That's absolutely true.
Definitely.
I'm wondering if you can share with us more about the sound healing. I know I had you in my own space, I don't know, like 2, 3 years, 4 years ago. And one of those ceremonies, one of those events, my mother was with me.
Mm,
And she was like, I don't know what happened. She never done it before. So she's like, I don't know what happened, but I was like electricity and I was flowing above. Oh, that's when you did it with David and the whole gum bath and everything. It was a beautiful, I don't know
yeah,
if you're incorporating any of that. But yeah, share with us more about the sound healing.
yeah. Sound healing is very very fascinating, because it's sound is the essence of everything, vibration particularly. When you look at, um, something under a microscope, a chair, a computer, on a molecular level, all of the atoms are vibrating,
Mhm.
um, and that's sound vibration, and everything vibrates at a particular frequency, at a particular rate. Um, So the singing bowls that I mainly work with are all tuned to a specific frequency that resonates with each one of our chakras or energy centers, the 7 main energy centers that we have in the body. So in playing one of these bowls, it helps us to align our energy centers, because most of the time they're not in alignment. There's a lot of ways that we can come into misalignment, whether it's by going into different environments, certain beliefs, many things. But yeah, essentially, the sound allows us to come more into of our harmonic balance, um, not only physically, but also emotionally and mentally.
Oh yeah, I remember some people were, like making sounds. They were making interesting sound during the event, and I was like, what was that? Took me by surprise for 1 second. But it's natural, it's a release, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it needed to come out.
Yeah, and some people also report a lot of discomfort during a sound healing, and that discomfort is just the something that was already there that's just being rise to the surface for you to heal and release it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. So would you say with the sound healing, I saw some videos, I don't know if it was on your Facebook page or your Instagram, where somebody was leading a meditation and you were using the sound. Like, how do you partner with people to put that into practice? Like how are different ways somebody could do that?
So yeah, sound healing is something that's it's very flexible in terms of the context that it can be held in. Um, it can be, a very organized, intentional ceremony where, people lay down and receive it for an hour or however long. Um, but it can also be done as part of a cacao ceremony, or part of an ayahuasca ceremony, um, or even just a simple meditation that lasts a few minutes in a workplace setting. Um, so yeah, the way that I find the people that I work with is just very organic, and obviously using your intuition to see where the resonance is, and if there's a, a harmony there, then that will also translate into the sound experience, or any experience, really, when it comes to facilitating.
Wonderful, thank you.
Of course.
So if our listeners wanted to find you, can you share what your handles are on social media, and if there's any other way they can get a hold of you?
Yes. So I'm on Facebook as Louis Angel Cologne, Instagram at Louis Angel Cologne number 8, and you can reach out to me through there or through email as well. lovevibrations1111@gmail.com.
Love that email. That's great.
Very creative and unique.
Thank
Any
you.
last messages for the listeners? Anything that you want to share? Any inspiration? Anything at all?
Hmm. Right now, the world is going through a lot, and regardless of what you may be going through in your personal life, have faith, keep going, and it will get better. It will get better.
I agree with that.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Lois. It was a pleasure having you. And I think the last thing that we have to remind everybody is to like, share, and subscribe, right?
That would be it.
We'll see you guys on the next time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lois.
Thank you.